What is this? It's just a bunch of gibberish. What does this say, you little whore? Hey! What does this say?
It says... Would you kindly?
Would you kindly? A string of words coming from the first game that many of us know all too well. The Burial at Sea DLC for Infinite brought this phrase full circle. In a way, it closed one door and of course opened many more. But what is it about that phrase that made it so impactful in the first place? Of course, the story is best told from the beginning, as the clip you've just seen now also signified an end. In the beginning of BioShock, the main character Jack encounters another character by the name of Atlas. Atlas needs Jack's assistance as he's trying to leave Rapture with his family. While Atlas could depart at any time, he is unable to rescue his wife Moira and their son Patrick, who are currently trapped in the city somewhere. Atlas also stated that he felt as though God was punishing him for bringing his family to Rapture for an attempt at a better life. Already at the start of the game, we experience the struggles of another person. While we do not physically see Atlas, as a player we can feel empathy towards the situation and how at the start of the game he serves as our guide. As we explore more of the world of Rapture, a place full of splicers, little sisters, and big daddies, we start to piece together the reasons why someone would want to leave from here. I mean, come on, could you imagine raising your child with these types of characters roaming around? Not only that, but Atlas's wife and child die in a submarine that explodes, though we were so close in helping Atlas and his family be free of Rapture once and for all.
Chumps, D.
This then leads us to help assist Atlas in his quest for vengeance against Andrew Ryan for the death of his family. I mean, how dare Andrew Ryan hurt our good friend like that? Eventually, we come face to face with the man responsible for ending the future generation of another. This man was none other than Andrew Ryan himself. But it's at this specific moment in BioShock where things get spicy. You see, by the game's narrative, we're driven to this point of vengeance against Andrew for all that he has done wrong since our journey into Rapture. While we still haven't seen Atlas either, we associate with him as a guide through the city. We have learned of Atlas's values, we have heard him in distress and in anger, we have shared our mutual experiences of sadness with him since we first stepped foot into Rapture. It's not that we do not like Andrew Ryan. Sure, we see his propaganda spattered all across the place, but he is the founder, so it's only normal he would display his dominance. But due to the game's skillfully crafted narrative, we as a player first begin to question Andrew on his decisions by the media we take in as we travel through his city. Then the event in the submarine takes place where once again we jump from thoughts about Andrew Ryan to establishing an opinion on him, as media in general can be manipulated to exert a certain reaction out of a person either for emotional or financial gain. But it is through this action in which the submarine containing Atlas's family explodes that creates a jump from a questionable state of Ryan into a more solidified state where we define him by his actions. Don't judge a book by its cover. That's a phrase many of us heard growing up. But how can one not judge a book when we have our good old pal Atlas, who reads to us that very book page by page? What I'm getting at here is through cognitive bias, we by instruction are manufactured to dislike Andrew Ryan. With our confrontation of him now, though, we then believe with his death that our journey here in Rapture to help our dear friend Atlas will come to an end. But this is where I'll leave the video. Just kidding. In this confrontation, we learn of Jack's true origin. Now, it's typical for the bad guys in stories to divulge information about the main character to sway them towards the dark side or break them down one last time to still hold some control over them. But Andrew was not about that. Instead, we see this scene take place where our character Jack repeatedly beats Andrew Ryan until his death. but not by his own free will. You see, the phrase, "would you kindly," is repeated during this segment, and each time Jack does as he is told. Now, at first this seems a bit odd, so if I say some key words, it makes our characters do something, right? What's the big deal? Then, the moment hits us. As we've been traversing through Rapture, risking our life, learning of how bad of a guy Andrew Ryan is, and how unfortunate our buddy Atlas is, we have also been strung along like a fish on a hook this entire time. Many times through the game up until this point, we converse with Atlas, and while his speech is very casual, he always says the words, "would you kindly," as a sort of formality. We as a player hear it so often, we don't really think anything of it other than him just liking that phrase. A lot of people out there have their own little catchphrases, so what makes Atlas's phrase any different, right? Those were my initial thoughts as well until after the death of Andrew Ryan. Suddenly, after stopping Rapture's destruction, our good old friend Atlas hits us with a chicken and biscuits combo from Popeyes with no drink. Yes, Popeyes biscuits with no drink. You see, Atlas was a man by the name of Frank Fontaine all along. He was simply using us to do his dirty work so he could run Rapture now and eventually the world on the surface. Though I've covered a lot in this, remember the clip from Infinite at the beginning of this video in which we learn of that phrase? The man holding that paper was none other than Atlas, or shall I say Frank himself. So what makes this phrase, "would you kindly," so powerful that even today it keeps us intrigued? My personal take on this is due to the construction of the game around this phrase. It's not that the game is built solely for this purpose, but more so that its system of progression naturally supported this method. Much like Jack, we as a player develop a sense of bias towards Andrew Ryan and all of Rapture due to our interactions with it. Going through a scary experience alone is hard enough, but when you at least have a friend on your side through those hard times, it does make it a little bit more bearable. When you place your trust into someone and look to them for guidance, it's only natural when you especially can't even see them, you believe them to have the best of intentions, in most cases. With Atlas as nothing more than a voice to guide us in the dark, it sets us up to be manipulated by him as we cannot see him or his actions. We only get to experience what he wants to share with us. Frank manipulated Jack against his own free will by adding a reason to why he should be doing this or that. Frank also manipulated us by subconsciously altering our cognition as we experience the game through Jack.
Would you kindly pick up that shortwave radio? Now, would you kindly find a crowbar or something? Careful now. Would you kindly lower that weapon for a minute? Now, would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch? It's time to finish this.
It's this combination of manipulation and empathy that is played on that makes players like myself head spin when we found out the truth of not only Jack, not only Andrew Ryan, but also Frank, that still sticks with us today. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, go on, and I'll see you in the next one. But before you go,
would you kindly
subscribe,